Well, it's great to speak with you today, Oliver, and I look forward to hearing your views on the future of supply chains and some of the things you're doing at Dell that are different and other issues regarding healthy supply chains. Can you start by providing a brief background of yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Dustin. I think there's two things. One is I've always been curious about how and why things worked, and I've also always appreciated nature. It comes, I think, from growing up in a rural farming community in the Finger Lakes of upstate New York. Working on a farm one is always faced with how to get a job done with either limited resources or limited help. So you learn how to innovate very quickly. That background has served me well in my career and always trying to find a better way to do things. For university, my major was in agricultural and biological engineering at Cornell universities. I have both a bachelor's and master's degrees, plus an MBA from the University of Texas at Austin. At Dell, my career has been a progression within supply chain. My first role was the operational strategy team, which I started. We used advanced mathematical methods such as linear programming to model the supply chain and answer questions such as factory locations, logistics lanes, delivery speed, etc. My next role was to actually manage several of those facilities which I had located and designed. Is a bit of eating your own dog food, as it were. It was a fantastic experience to actually manage and be a part of that entire process. Next came roles in logistics and procurement. Finally, here in packaging, where I'm a director of packaging, engineering, and procurement. So packaging has been my longest role and has been defined by much of the innovation we've achieved in green packaging. I've been able to combine my two passions around innovation and sustainability. We still have more innovation in the pipeline, and I encourage students contemplating careers to consider packaging. So that's a brief background of what motivates me and what I've done here at Dell.
Thank you. My first question is, what is a healthy supply chain?
Well, I think the definition of supply chain is evolving. It was and still is for many the basics of logistics, supplier management, sourcing, demand forecasting, etc. Those are fundamental and don't really change. What is changing is the incorporation of social and environmental responsibility into the supply chain framework for a holistic life cycle approach. That's how I would define a healthy supply chain. And it's important due to concerns about the climate, population growth, and urbanization. For example, UN demographers predict, and they're usually accurate, a population increase of another 1 billion people by 2025. That's like adding another India or China in 12 short years. So the question becomes, where do all the resources come to create a future defined by prosperity and potential rather than poverty or scarcity? That's why we're developing packaging based on agricultural wastes like wheat straw. Also, by 2025, based on a McKinsey study, 60% of global GDP will be in the top 600 cities. That means their problems on waste disposal, for example, among others, becomes your challenge. So at Dell, we have an award-winning take-back program that makes it easier for customers and non-Dell customers too to return their old computers in a sustainable and responsible manner. We've collected over £1 billion to date as a demonstration of our commitment to the life cycle approach to supply chain. And I think this is how the definition of what a healthy supply chain is becoming. It's this intersection of population pressures, urbanization, climate change with how we've done business as managed supply chains in the past. I think it's a very exciting time.
And how would you approach building or having a healthy supply chain?
I think it's fairly straightforward. It starts out by mapping the steps in the life cycle of your products from design to sourcing, logistics, use, and disposal, and identifying what are the social and environmental factors associated with each. I think the identification of sustainability into job functions is becoming more pronounced, I think, as awareness increases. So, really any job anymore is becoming a green job, it seems. I think having a governing structure, as we do at Dell with our Corporate Sustainability Council, helps to keep everyone aligned across what is really a pretty big process. And we've seen at Dell, people are really excited about the inclusion of sustainability into what they do. I think people intrinsically understand that doing things that are good for the planet in the long term is good for the business, good for them, and good for their communities.
Where have you seen success?
I think we've seen success across the board, from the incorporation of sustainability in packaging and product design, the incorporation of sustainability metrics and procurement scorecards for our suppliers, the energy reduction of many of our products. They require far less energy to run than they do a few short years ago, and our take-back program, which I'd mentioned before. We also see an increasing number of customers include sustainability on their requests for quotations, or RFQs. And that's an area where we feel Dell is advantaged. We see others bringing this into their business as well. So I think success in the area of sustainability and supply chain has been very broad, and I think it will continue to advance in the coming years.
And what does the future of supply chains look like in 2020?
Well, I think sustainability will continue to increase, but one prediction I will make is that in order to achieve that sustainability, I think supply chains will be characterized by a much higher degree of collaboration of companies across different industries. So this is something very new. And an example is Coca-Cola is probably a good example of this trend, and how they're collaborating on their plant bottle technology with others such as Procter & Gamble, Nike, and Ford. The driving function here is really the ability to scale capacity in order to scale costs. At some level, we all play in the same sandbox, so this makes sense. We're starting to have similar conversations with people outside our industry about how we scale some of our technologies on a global basis. So this is an area where I think that in 2020 you'll see more of this type of collaboration. So check back with me, Dustin, in about 7 years, and we'll see how accurate this prediction is.
Yep, I look forward to that. And Oliver, can you talk about what's the most surprising thing that you've done?
Well, I think without a doubt that has to be our mushroom-based packaging. When I told my engineers that we would be developing packaging based on mushrooms, they looked at me like I was crazy, Dustin. I told them though that they would make history, and they really did. It was about a year in development. As they got deeper into it, they got more excited about it. And we developed some packaging cushioning that actually worked better than our foam cushioning. And that was really on the first generation of our design. We're now into our second generation, and we look forward to releasing some of those products in the near future. So, when you start out in a career, you never know what you're going to end up working on. And I look back at my farm background, and it's surprising the things that you're exposed to and you work on, they come back around. And everything that you go through in life, I think, has an influence on what you do later on, and you have an opportunity to use it. So I'd say that's the most surprising thing, and I feel happy to have been a part of it.
What is different about Dell's approach?
Well, I guess I'm going to be a Dell partisan on this one. So I'll caveat that from the front. But I think Dell really provides our people with the opportunity to work on what you're passionate about. And I'm a great example. when I started in packaging, I never had sustainability as part of my job description, but my team felt it was a direction that we should go in. Customers were starting to talk about it. We saw chatter and social media about sustainability and packaging. So we went and did our homework by talking to customers, and the direct model that Dell has in its DNA makes that a very easy thing to go do and see what they're interested in. So we had those conversations. We made our business case around the 3 C's, which was cube, content, and curb, which was about how to make our packaging smaller, more sustainable, and the last one for curb, about how to make it curbside recyclable. These were the things that customers were really interested in. Along the way, we went and creatively borrowed, as it were, some ideas around packaging from utilizing our bamboo packaging. We then went and presented to Michael Dell our 3 C's packaging framework. It was a very short conversation with him. He said go, and we haven't looked back since, and it's been a fantastic journey. So, and our next program is our Zero Waste 2020 packaging program. Again, that went to Michael, and he said keep going. So we are. So I think that's what's different about Dell. It's that ability to pursue your passions, work directly with customers, and it's interest certainly in sustainability that extends from the bottom of the organization to the very, very top.
Thank you. And my last question is, how does sustainability factor into a healthy supply chain?
You sound a little bit like my mom here when you ask that type of question. So I'll answer it this way: is sustainability is a bit like eating, I think, your vegetables. They come in all different shapes, sizes, and colors, and they're needed for, I think, a healthy and balanced diet. The consideration in this analogy, I think, goes with the life cycle impacts that one's products have, from material sourcing to disposal and everything in between. That adds to, I think, the diversity that powers the possible, that enables the human potential, which is what I think we're all about in the end. When we look at our computer products, these are products that go to be used to, if it's in a school, maybe to help a child to learn how to read, or an automotive company to design more fuel-efficient cars, or to an environmental remediation company that is doing environmental remediation modeling to help create cleaner water or cleaner air. And so if we can do things that make their job of being green, or their aspects of their job about being green, easier, so they can focus on the things that they really want to do, that really make a difference for them and their business and their customers, we're happy to do that. And I think that is a really neat way of looking at business relationships, and it's defined by sustainability. So I think that's how it factors in.
Well, thank you, Oliver, for sharing your views on healthy supply chains and sustainability, as well as what does the future hold for supply chains.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dustin. I enjoyed the conversation.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.